Mayor Frank Jackson and the City of Cleveland are committed to keeping your neighborhood clean and green through the use of the city-issued trash and recycling carts. It's safe, convenient, and mandatory. For more information, contact the Cleveland Division of Waste Collection at 216-664-3717.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the City Club of Cleveland. I'm Bob Littman, President of the City Club's Board of Directors. I am pleased to introduce today's speaker, the Honorable Frank G. Jackson, who will present his 12th State of the City address as Mayor of Cleveland. As we've noted in past City Club introductions of Mayor Jackson, he is a native son of Cleveland with a lifelong record of service to our city. A product of Cleveland Public Schools, Tri-C, and Cleveland State University, his biography is well known to most of us in this room. And his public service that began in the city prosecutor's offices and includes 28 years in elected office, 14 on city council, and 12 years in the mayor's office. The mayor lives in the central neighborhood of Cleveland where he grew up. It's worth remembering some of the highlights of the last year when Cleveland found itself on the world stage. From the Cleveland Cavaliers NBA championship to a successful Republican National Convention to a World Series contest that captivated our nation, our city, and all of us. In addition, several development projects were completed, including 3 hotels and the long-awaited redesigned Public Square. Despite these successes, challenges remain. The reopening of Public Square was marked by conflict over the presence of public transit. The city continues its work with the U.S. Department of Justice to implement the consent decree to help develop and maintain effective and productive relationships between the police and the communities they serve. Our lead poisoning problem has been compared to the crisis in Flint, Michigan. Opium addiction has a firm grip on our communities, resulting in 60 confirmed deaths, overdose deaths in Cuyahoga County last month alone, and 36% of Clevelanders still live in poverty. Today, Mayor Jackson will talk about these highs and these lows and other topics during the first portion of the program, which will be followed by the traditional City Club question and answer period. Ladies and gentlemen, members and friends of the City Club of Cleveland, it is my pleasure to introduce the Mayor of Cleveland, the Honorable Frank G. Jackson.
Okay. Well, good afternoon. Well, thank you. I want to thank everyone for coming and really thank the City Club for again hosting this event. As was mentioned, this is my 12th State of the City address. And now before I get started, I want to let you know I'm not going to cover every issue during my presentation, but there will be time after my presentation to answer your questions as time permits. So let's get started. The city of Cleveland has become a successful city. We've come a long way as our reputation and our image has changed as we become successful. No longer is Cleveland considered a mistake. As a matter of fact, we're actually looked on as an example of the way things should be. But it's not enough. It is not enough if we want to become a great city. Now, we have the opportunity to be a great city, but it depends on our ability, our willingness to accept and engage and overcome those challenges that we face as a city. And the question is, do we have the will? Do we have the courage to engage and overcome those challenges? To do that, we have to make decisions that are transformative and decisions that resolve the systemic problems that the city of Cleveland faces. Now, many times I've been asked the question, well, how do you make decisions? How do you prioritize things? And my answer is always the same. I tell them that, I may have 30 or more decisions to make, And I can make a decision on each of them, and I could satisfy every constituent and advocacy group associated with each of those decisions, and I wouldn't make anybody mad or upset with me. Wouldn't do it. But I refuse to. I refuse to because they will basically be political decisions. And I will guarantee you nothing to get done. Nothing. Now, before I go further, let me just say this. Now, I really don't have the time or the patience, and I imagine you don't either, to continue to talk about things in a political way and delay us really getting something done. We're either going to take the necessary steps to do what must be done and commit to making Cleveland better for all of the people, or we're going to miss this moment and this opportunity to transform our city. And it's going to take courage. It's going to take courage for us to solve the challenges that we face, and it's going to have a sense of urgency to it. So I choose to act with a sense of urgency by making only 4 or 5 core decisions that are the right decisions to deal with the systemic disparities and inequities that blocks prosperity for all of Cleveland. But those are core transformative decisions, and not just saying the right thing. So what are the challenges we face? How are we dealing with them? And how do we define success as we work to overcome them? Now, first, let me thank the people of the city of Cleveland for the passage and their support of Issue 32, the income tax, and Issue 108, the school levy. Without their passage, and it's important that you did, because without their passage, we would not be able to meet several of the important challenges that we face as a city today. All of what we do is about people and whether or not they're better off as a result of what we do. A great city will be measured by the condition and the well-being of its people, particularly the least of us. Not in terms of welfare and charity, but in whether or not they are able to participate in the quality of life and the prosperity that we have created as a city. Today, I continue to stay focused on making Cleveland a great city. Everything Cleveland has been successful at is because we've done it as one community with a winning attitude. The commitment to become a great city is no exception. The greatest example of this is the Cleveland Reform Plan. Now, this was a core, transformative decision where Democrats and Republicans and business and labor, district schools, charter schools, the philanthropic community, all of us came together for the purpose of creating real school reform. But it was the citizens of Cleveland who really closed that deal. They closed the deal by voting for an operating levy in 2012, a capital levy in 2014, and most recently, the levy of 108, the school levy 108. Now, the vote for issue 108 was a vote of confidence that we're moving in the right direction. And it demonstrates that Cleveland and Clevelanders are committed and really demand school reform in a way that moves us closer to excellence, and it eliminated the political conversation around it, and we did it. We did it. And education is the key to our success. A city that provides quality education for its children will retain and grow population, maintain and attract businesses, as well as providing us an opportunity to move into the future. Just as important, and if not more so, is that education will give our children choices and open their minds to a world of ideals that will help them in their maturity and help them better know their role in a global marketplace and their purpose in this challenging world. You know, many of our children face challenges, and many of those challenges are challenges that result in life and death. Many of our children have been traumatized at an early age, shaping their emotions and their minds in a way that impacts the rest of their lives and influences the decisions they make today. Many of them have witnessed, and in many cases, many of them have participated in violence. Death, and this is a hard thing to say, but it's a reality. Death is never too far from them as they witness and they go to the funerals of their friends, and they know others who have been shot or victims of crime. The decisions that we make must address their needs if we're going to be a great city. Now, crime is a symptom, it's not a cause. It's an indicator of deeper ills that has to be addressed if we're going to become a great city and eliminate and reduce crime. Greater participation in a community's prosperity is an essential factor, essential to addressing the underlying causes of crime and violence by providing opportunity and resources. This is another transformative decision. Cleveland has made substantial progress in this area, but it is not enough. We have to do more. Now, Cleveland in this region has a very diverse economy from healthcare, education, research, financial institutions, service industry, manufacturing, and since becoming mayor, this city has supported 970 economic development projects. These projects created over $366 million in city investments that leverage over $3 billion of total investment. We created over 19,000 jobs, and we retained over 13,000 jobs. However, if we're truly going to be a great city, there has to be economic growth and wealth creation that is inclusive of everyone and in all neighborhoods. Community benefits connects that growth and that prosperity with local companies and citizens through contracts and jobs. And since signing the Community Benefits MOU in 2013, the total construction spent on public sector contracts for Cleveland was over $353 million. Now that resulted in 149 projects, 317 subcontractors and suppliers participated, and the MBFB spent on that was over, I think, $86 million. In the private sector, during the same period of time, it was $1.7 billion that resulted in 69 developments, 220 subcontractors and suppliers participated, and their spend on MBFB was over $340 million. Now, overall wages, this is where the Fannie Lewis law comes in. Overall wages to Cleveland residents working on Cleveland public sector construction contracts totaled over $39 million during that period of time. So it's working, but it's not enough. We have to and we need to do more. Now, I'm working with the Greater Cleveland Partnership and Inclusion Commission, and we're working on expanding the community benefits agreement beyond just construction contracts, and we're looking at the contracts for procurement of goods and services. I'm also, and their support of this initiative will demonstrate if they are committed to addressing core transformative decisions around targeted wealth creation and job opportunities with action. In addition, I'm also working with our school district, community college, and employers to connect our young people to the sustainable jobs in their companies and in their institutions. Now, this is important. This is important because it ensures that there is a broader participation in the community prosperity, and it creates opportunity for jobs, economic empowerment, and wealth, as well as showing that our community is really sincere about inclusion. Now, this self-help approach will keep our dollars in our local economy, turn those dollars over multiple times, thus creating growth, prosperity, and jobs, as well as revenue for the city of Cleveland. Economic growth, however, and investments are not distributed evenly across the city of Cleveland. Now, just like crime is a symptom of a greater ill, what I'm about to describe to you is a symptom of this systematic disparity that has to be remedied if we're going to be a great city, and it has to be, and it's deep-rooted. Now, last year I gave an example, such as if the city invested $1 of public money downtown, you probably get $8 in return on that. And if the city invested $1 of public dollars, it would leverage $3 to $4 of private investments in neighborhoods that are doing well. Now, since I took office in 2006, the city of Cleveland has either made or leveraged over $500 million in capital improvement and investments in things like roads, bridges, parks, recreation centers, playgrounds, other public facility demolition, all of those kind of things. And of those allocations, over 90% was invested in the neighborhoods of the city of Cleveland. But even with this level of public investment, in some neighborhoods, there has been little or no return on that in terms of private investment. Traditional development models do not work in these neighborhoods. Again, substantial progress has been made. It has been made in neighborhoods like Tremont, Ohio City, Detroit Shoreway, Huff, downtown, University Circle, Shaker Square, Larchmere, just to name a few. But it's not enough. It's not enough. More needs to be done. So we continue to work on new models that will allow for public investments and better ensure that these investments will create economic growth that won't need perpetual subsidies. However, for these models to truly be successful, the private sector will have to take risk where it had not taken it before. So last year I created a $25 million fund. This $25 million neighborhood transformation initiative was specifically created to leverage private investment in neighborhoods where traditional development models just don't work, and also where developers and lenders are considered too risky for their investment. Now, we've been working over the last year to put together the details of a development infrastructure, create partnerships and collaboration to identify the neighborhoods where we can have this concentrated effort. Again, this will require relationships between the local banks, the philanthropic community, and the public sector. Key neighborhoods will receive direct investments of resources, and both public and private entities focus on creating development and wealth. The city's funds will be used to leverage for bank lending and for philanthropic funds to support residential and mixed-use development, as well as entrepreneur and startup. Now, single-family infill new construction will fill the gap between the cost of construction, the fair market value, and the price of a new home by providing forgivable loans, offering assistance and loan guarantees for down payments. We will also provide a forgivable loan to write down the cost of rehabilitation of vacant houses that should not be demolished and have resale potential. We will create lending tools specifically to work with existing owner-occupied homes in neighborhoods that have been hit hard by the recession and the foreclosure crisis. The city will also provide funds to write down residential and retail rent, as well as provide forgivable loans that will be linked to job creation. We will work with existing programs and an entrepreneur startup program that will provide rent subsidies to support startup businesses in neighborhood. Now, this is an outline of a transformative action decision and all of the necessary and critical resources that we need to really truly impact neighborhoods where traditional development models don't work. But let me be clear, these are not new ideals or concepts. So it's not that I'm just come up with this brilliant new ideal or concept. This is really about action, it's about doing. Now, these and similar programs and tools have been very effective in neighborhoods where traditional development models do work, and as I said, they've worked well, they've been very effective. However, this will be transformative action taken by the public, private, and philanthropic sectors to come together in a collaborative, comprehensive, and strategic way to impact quality of life and prosperity in designated neighborhoods. Now, an essential part of ensuring quality of life and creating investments in our neighborhoods is really through public service. So once again, I want to thank the public and the supporters of issue 32. Because of their support and the vote of the people, we have the resources we need now, and we've become structurally balanced, and now we also have resources to enhance city services. Now we're able to do more in that area. Now, this action-oriented general fund budget, along with the capital budget that I mentioned, are strong investments in Cleveland's neighborhoods and in its people. Now, I'm gonna get a little bit into the weeds because I really think you should understand when you voted for the income tax and you're paying it, that what you're getting for your money in terms of enhancements. So I'm gonna be in the weeds for a minute. Now, newly created Mayor's Office of Quality Control and Performance Management will monitor and assess programs in terms of service delivery. This office will also track departmental performance and incorporate efficient and effective methods to ensure high levels of accountability, compliance, and quality control. So this is about you knowing that your money is being watched and that it's being watched in a way that you're getting what we promised you will get. The Department of Public Works enhanced budget will improve services such as street sweeping, pothole repair, waste collection, and leaf removal. It will also allow for improved park and playground infrastructure maintenance, improvement in urban forestry, a stronger focus on illegal dumping. Now, the Building and Housing Department will get 33 new employees, so we can better inspect vacant properties, deal with slum landlords, rental registry inspection that will also deal with inspection around lead. We're working with the Cleveland City Council and our other partners to try to find funds to develop a concentrated demolition program. The Division of Fire will add an additional fire company, 4 support personnel, ballistic vests, and a records management system upgrade, emergency medical service. Now, they will have 60 new paramedics and 8 dispatchers that will help us reduce response time. 4 captains to oversee the operation, the field operation, and we're going to purchase 5 new ambulances. So this will give us the ability to go from maybe deploying from 18 to about 23 ambulances per day, helping response time, better service delivery. The Division of Animal Care and Control will have 16 new employees that will include 2 animal control officers, a veterinarian, a couple of veterinary technicians, supervisors, shelter manager, and other staff that we need to support the new kennel that we will be building. Department of Public Health its staff will increase by 21 employees who will focus on youth violence as a public health issue, as well as on preventing lead poisoning, reducing infant mortality, addressing the opiate problems, and looking at our environment. The Division of Recreation will increase its staff and programming by $2.3 million in an effort to help reduce youth violence and increase opportunity for youth in our community. While we are increasing services that I just mentioned, and all of them are very, very important, we must also increase our enforcement efforts. This budget makes an investment in enforcement, law enforcement. The Division of Police will increase personnel by 93 people, and that will be add 2 captains, 3 lieutenants, 11 sergeants, 65 patrol officers, and 12 radio dispatchers. The new Neighborhood Impact Community Engagement Unit, I got to remember that, is easy to remember because we call it the NICE unit. The NICE unit will be included in this year's safety enhancement budget. Now this NICE unit, the NICE unit will help us and allow for us to concentrate efforts in neighborhoods where there are guns and violence and drugs and gang activity. This enhancement in law enforcement is really an investment in crime reduction. It gives us, and it gives the Division of Police the resources that they need to fight violence and violent crimes in our neighborhoods, and we will look at further enhancement as we go further into 18, 19, and to 20 to address that need. This urban policing approach will only be successful, however, if it has full community support. The consent decree gives us a blueprint on community engagement to help us create that community support. Now, we're in our second year of the consent decree. We're doing well in some areas and we need improvement in other areas, but the consent decree, as I mentioned, is a blueprint for us to have real reform in the Division of Police. It along with a concentrated urban policing to reduce crime and violence in a constitutional way without the use of excessive force will help us go a long way to ensure the quality of life in our neighborhoods. We, however, cannot police our way out of crime. That cannot be done. If we just depending on law enforcement to get it done, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to fail. We will achieve our best results when we invest in people. We are working to impact violence, particularly violence with young people, by investing in prevention, interventions, and opportunity for those young people. In an effort to reduce violence, I have created a cabinet-level position of Chief of Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity for Youth and Young Adults to align city services and to aid in preventing and reducing youth violence and creating opportunity for young people. This appointment goes hand in hand with the addition of 2 crime analysts, 2 outreach workers, a grant administrator, along with $1 million to partner and leverage with our partners and outside agencies for crime reduction through the Community Relations Board. We will continue the relationships we already have with the different organizations and people we have worked with in the past, and we will develop new relationships to achieve a better and greater outcome in terms of reducing crime and helping our young people go through a very challenging period in our city and really in our country. This prevention, intervention, and opportunity strategy, along with enforcement, will give us a comprehensive approach to reducing crime and reducing violence in our city and neighborhoods of the city. So there it is. I don't know what you thought, but here it is, and this is it. This is it. And I'll tell you why. These are, and remember I said 30? right? And I said 4 or 5. These are the transformative action decisions that we are making in order to move our city forward. These are it. Cleveland is a successful city. It is a successful city. You know, when I first became mayor in 2006, the city needed to be stabilized. And people had said to me, you know, the city is not in the best of health. So it was about stabilizing the city. And over the last 12 years, we've laid the foundation for the future of this city. We began to build on that foundation, and we have become a successful city, and we've overcome many, many challenges. But that is not enough. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not enough. If you don't want to slide back, we have to recognize it's not enough. We must do more. Now we must focus on whether or not we're going to be a great city. That is our choice. That is our choice. We can do it, and we will do it if we have the will, if we have the courage to take the necessary steps and actions to be a great city, and ensure in doing that all Clevelanders share in prosperity and the quality of life that we produce. Now, many people have looked at the growth of Cleveland and have become satisfied. They're feeling good about it. People are talking about Cleveland in a good way, in a very good way now, and many of us have gotten into some comfort zone. Everything is all right. But to be a great city means that there will be anxiety. There will be anxiety. And we will have to go beyond what has made us comfortable. To be a great city, we have to go beyond our self-interest. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to go beyond our self-interest and focus on the people's best interests. And that means all of us. It means all of us, just not me, all of us. All of us. The business community, the philanthropic and civic organizations, citizens, and again, yes, me and all other elected officials have to get uncomfortable in order to go further than where we are and go further than where we've been before. To do more for Cleveland to become a great city. Now, the collective will and courage to lead, and I'm not talking about responding. I'm talking about to lead. The collective courage and will to lead Cleveland into the future, to make core transformative decisions that will make us a great city is what we're supposed to do. Ain't no big thing. I mean, it ain't like we should be patted on the back. It's what you're supposed to do. It is our job to do it. And when we do that, it will be the only way that we can truly say that we are serving the people of this city. So let's get to work. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Today, we are enjoying the 2017 State of the City Address with Mayor Frank Jackson. We are about to head into our Q&A. We welcome questions from everybody, City Club members, guests, students, and those of you that are joining via our radio broadcast or webcast. Please form a line between the two microphones at the front of the room. If you'd like to tweet a question, please tweet it at the City Club, and our staff will try to work it into our program. We want to remind you, please keep your questions brief and to the point. May we have our first question, please?
I know we got a question somewhere. Oh, here they come. Here they come.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
Where are you, by the way?
Right here,
Okay.
Marshall.
Okay.
Right here.
Oh, okay.
So My question has to do with your new office of working with young people, opportunities and innovation. Can you give a little bit more detail about how you envision that working with community organizations, and what are some of the outcomes that you hope to see coming out of those partnerships?
Well, let's start with the outcomes I hope to see. As you know, a lot of times we try to build an infrastructure thinking we're going here and we wind up over there, right? So let's talk about the outcome. The outcome is how do I have children who don't have post-traumatic stress syndrome because they live in certain neighborhoods and have to face all of the challenge around that neighborhoods and the violence and unrest that goes on in that, right? And so how do you get that child, and how do you put a concentrated effort of all of what we do and all of what you do in terms of external partners? How do we do that? And how do we leverage our resources and coordinate and collaborate on that child? So that's the purpose. And so I envision it to function in that way. Now, so what I did, I hired someone and I made them a cabinet level position so that it is a demonstration, symbolic, a demonstration that this is serious. I take this serious. And so it's a cabinet level position. And that cabinet level position, and this person has the ability to go into recreation, go into health, go into workforce development, go into the other departments and divisions of the city of Cleveland and try to coordinate that activity within the internal side so that we can do a better job and have a better outcome because we're coordinated with a very focused approach to life, and then to partner with outside agencies to bring those resources and those programs that we may not be doing into effect so that we can have a community effort around our children and addressing those needs that they have. And Ms. Maccabee, I will tell you that it's hard going to funerals, particularly when there's a baby in the casket. And so, and I'm not divorced or separated from that because of where I live. And I have great-grandkids from 5 to 10 to 12 to 14. And so all these challenges face them too, just like it faces all the other people who live in the same type of environment. So it's a real need that we have as a city if we're going to be a great city. If we're going to be a great city. Thank you. Over here. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. My name is Ben Williams, and a question is, there's currently a lawsuit pending over a potentially illegal hidden fee charged by Cleveland Public Power. It allegedly collected millions of dollars without authorization. And it has recently come to light that it's resumed charging this fee with a lawsuit pending, and we wanted to know what is your position on that issue.
Well, you made the correct thing when you said allegedly. So that helps us in this, right? Which means just because somebody say it don't mean it's true, okay? So it's allegedly, right? Now, first of all, what is allowed is you have various charges, and give me a minute so I can explain it, okay? You have, just like any organization, Clean Public Power is an enterprise fund, which means it's not supported by income tax. It's supported by a fee, just like a private corporation. So just like First Energy, they charge you for your electricity. Well, they're a business, so they charge you based on what it costs them to provide that electricity to you, and then they tack on profits. Well, Cleveland Public Power, since it's a public entity, it operates like a business, but it doesn't make profit. So we're not making profit or even allowed to make profit. We're allowed to charge for the service delivery. So part of that service delivery is an environmental charge. that deals with, and I forget the exact terminology, but it's designed to pay and to deal with environmental kind of things that are part of the delivery of that service, right? So we got into a lawsuit. Someone has sued us, and what happened is they were saying that we were charging environmental fees when we shouldn't, which we disagree with. It's allegedly we were doing it. We disagree with it. And so we have records to demonstrate that every fee we charge is a legitimate fee because we're not trying to gouge and we're not making profit. So what happened was during the law, we had stopped this practice of doing that because there were some things that we were doing that we had corrected in terms of addressing those environmental issues. So the fee got stopped. And then what happened, you know that plant on the shoreway where they have that whale, those whales? Well, we own that building. There's nothing in there, but we own the building, and it has a lot of environmental issues around because we used to produce electricity, and when you do that, it creates a lot of environmental problems. Well, something happened where it began to seep out of that building into the lake. And I think it was Ohio EPA discovered that was happening. So we then had to go in and we have to spend millions of dollars not only to clean that up, but to deal with whatever was happening inside the building so it wouldn't happen again. That is an appropriate charge on the environmental fee. So it's not hidden and it's not illegally started up. It's a legitimate expense based on environmental thing that happened. And so they reinstituted that fee in order to help cover the cost of that environmental problem. So that's what happened. Okay? Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Mr. Mayor. This is Jennifer Coleman.
How you doing, Ms. Coleman?
I'm doing very good.
All right.
In 2015, we voted to extend the arts and culture levy.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm wondering that at that point, we decided that we agreed that arts and culture is an integral part of the vitality of our city.
Right.
And what I'm looking at is in our quest to become a great city, do you believe that arts are integral and a key portion that we should be looking and getting support from City Hall in things like revving up the economic engine that arts and culture has already played a part and could potentially be larger, and working with it, including arts and culture in our public school system as part of a well-rounded education?
Right. That's right.
And also to ensure that our vital arts community here, that those resources can extend to all of our neighborhoods in an equitable fashion.
Well, and I appreciate the question, and you're absolutely right. We're people. See, a great city, that's why I'm talking about people. I'm not talking about, I could tell you about a building all day long. You know, I can tell you about I can tell you about all that, but that does not make a great city. What makes a great city are people. And then you have to look at what their conditions are, right? What the conditioned people. And essential to people being who they can be and who they should be is arts and culture, because it's part of the expression of who we are as an individual and then as a culture, right? When you can identify certain music or certain writings and certain paintings and portraits, you can actually sometimes identify what culture it comes from just by the way it's expressed. So it's part of the individual, it's part of the culture, it's part of who we are as a city, right? So it is essential that we have that component as part of the integral part of our everyday lives. And the other part of your question, I'm trying to answer it all. And the other part of your question is around the resources. You're right. I remember, I think Councilman Simperman, when he was a councilman, was a strong advocate of that, of arts and culture. And we went out and with the county, and we got the levy. I guess it was a levy for arts and culture. And you know, anytime It's nice to have money, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to have money, but it brings trouble. I'm telling you, it brings trouble. So as we did that for the global purpose, for as you eloquently stated, this global purpose of what it means and should be, right? As we did that, and it passed, then they got into the weeds and the nuts and bolts, who's going to get what? Who's going to get what? And there's been some friction, and there's been some back and forth going on about that. And it is around exactly what you said, is how do you create more equity into how you distribute that, and how is that distribution to maybe smaller organizations that are more reflective of a neighborhood or culture that may not get represented in the broader scheme of things, you see. Then the other thing that we done, I remember when I was in council, Councilman Zone, he, when we were doing our capital improvements, like whether it was roads or rec centers or whatever we're doing it and we're investing, excuse me, public capital money. He put legislation in, and we all supported, that would take a small percentage of it, and I forget how much, that would go towards creating art as part of that capital improvement. So you'll see it, I think, up and down Superior. You see some around 20-something in Superior. You'll see these sculpture kind of things, right? And you'll see it if we build in like our new 3rd district. You'll look at it; it has some arts component to it. So that is the way in which we've done it, both on the capital side and on the levy side. And then finally, the schools, you had to talk to Superintendent Gordon about the details of it, but I do know through my conversation with him that I say to him all the time, it is essential that we have arts and culture in school. Why? Because I've seen young people, children, who are very problematic, behavioral problems, not doing well academically, all that. But once they get turned on to some type of art form, for whatever reason, it's cathartic for them, and they're able to do so much better in terms of their behavior, in terms of academic performance. So you're absolutely right. Arts and culture has to be part of what we do if we're going to be a great city.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. My name is Michael, and I work for Margaret Wong and Associates.
Yes.
And I thought the Global Cleveland meeting went absolutely great last week, and I'm glad that we're offering more services to immigrants and refugees. I think that's one distinctive factor of a great city. But do you think that we will ever officially become a welcoming city?
Well, we officially are, because that's the way we behave. Now, I can, for political purposes, I can stand up and say, I can hold a press conference and ask council for a resolution. I think they have actually passed one, as a matter of fact, not too long ago, to say that we're officially a welcoming city. Well, that means nothing. You know, the resolution meant something because it gave the sincerity of the city, particularly city council in that regard. It is how you behave. And we behave as a welcoming city. We welcome everybody, everybody. We welcome immigrants and we welcome refugees. You know, immigrants, a lot of immigrants have choices in life. Many of them are well educated, or they have some financial well-being, and many of them come, they start businesses and things like that. So that's great. And then you have refugees who are usually fleeing something, running from something, and they have to, if they had anything, they have to leave it behind. And so they come here with just what they got on their back. And so we welcome them. And I think over in Councilman Cummings' ward, there is this village that he and then Councilman Simperman were working on to create a truly integrated community of people who are refugees coming from other countries so that we could provide housing, education, job opportunity. Thomas Jefferson is a school over in that area that they speak multiple languages in that school, and many times it's the students who translate the language of the other kid for the teacher. So we build an infrastructure around being a welcoming city and try to ensure that when immigrants or refugees come here, that they'll be successful. Now, in the past, that infrastructure was set up when we were had more ethnic enclaves. The city of Cleveland was an ethnic community with ethnic enclaves. The parts of the city of Cleveland didn't speak English. And so when people came, that community pulled them into them, and then they provided that infrastructure and support for them. Help them with jobs, help them with this, help them with that, all these kind of things. Well, we don't have that type of ethnic enclaves as we had before. So we wind up doing it as a city, and we wind up doing it through Global Cleveland. And I'm pretty sure there are organizations out there who specifically deal with immigrants and refugees. And I'm pretty sure part of your success is the fact that you have begun to collaborate, and Global Cleveland has become like a clearinghouse for that. So we behave as a welcoming city, and that's what's important. Yes.
Good afternoon, Mayor Jackson.
Yes.
My name is Lynn Radcliffe.
How you
I'm a
doing?
retired employee from the Cleveland Metropolitan School District
Okay.
after serving 35 years supporting students, parents, and the staff, but most recently those students who are receiving special education services.
Special needs kids.
Yes.
Right.
My question is, it has to do with that there was a recent report in the Plain Dealer that you would be seeking big money in your race for your reelection, and recently had a high dollar fundraiser. In addition, last year, Council President Kelly pushed for a dramatic increase in campaign contribution limits. My question is, do you support donations from political action committees linked to corporate interests, and will these new limits increase the influence of big money in the city of Cleveland?
Well, I support people giving me money to run for mayor. I do support that. And not only, and I do support and insist that they do it within the law and be legal. Now, if you're asking whether or not, and I'm trying to read your underlying question, if you're asking whether or not they're buying favors, the answer is no. The answer is no. They don't buy favors. Now, because if that's the case, then you're talking about my integrity. And I'm saying to you that they don't buy favors. I'm pretty sure every elected official in there, including council people, have talked to the same people I've talked to. So you can ask them the same question. And so all of us, if you're running for political office, you have to raise money to do that. So I have people give me $1. I have people give me up to the legal limit as to what they can give each year. I have other people who may not be able to contribute as an organization because they're nonprofit, but maybe the people in the organization make a personal donation. I have corporate donations. I have all of that. But it's part of the system for what it is. And you're right. I am running for mayor. So did you know? I am running for mayor. And there are several other people in this room who are also running for mayor. And I bet you the same people I talk to, they talking to too. And I will tell you that would never accuse any of them, even though they will be my opponents, of taking money in a special interest way that would influence their governing or their vote in council or their governing this mayor. I would never do that. I would never do that. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Mayor Jackson.
real quick, and I'll try to be real quick.
Okay, Wayne Mesker from the Alive Inside Foundation and the Rock Against Dementia movement.
Yes.
I'd like to thank you for your continued support of our organization and the Rock Against Dementia movement and our event on March 19th.
Right.
4 years ago, I was working for your opponent. In that 4 years, I've come to respect what you've done with the city of Cleveland,
Thank you.
all the revitalization that's
Thank you.
going on.
Thank you.
I would have liked to have seen a $200,000 memorial for the 123rd and Imperial victims rather than a $2 million bill on Public Square, but in the Playhouse District. But what do you plan to do in your next 4 years if you are reelected?
Well, I just did a speech. Now, hold on, and I'm not trying to be sarcastic or anything. No. I'm saying to you one thing that I can say about me is that I will do what I say, and I'm very clear as to what I plan to do. I have these 4 or 5 things that I believe are the focus of whether or not Cleveland will be a great city. 4 or 5 things, and I just described them in my presentation. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying this to you. I'm saying this to you because it is not because it's a nice thing to do. It's not because it's a nice thing to do. It is essential because all of the progress that we've made will be for naught. And all of the efforts that we try to have to address problems on a superficial level, the 30 things rather than the 4 or 5 things, it will result in failure. If we do not address the core issues of this city around people and the disparity that is in this city and in this country, we can become a great city because we will show everyone how it should be done. And I thank you very much. Thank you.
Today at the City Club, we've been enjoying this 2017 State of the City Address with the Honorable Frank Jackson, Mayor of Cleveland. Today's address is presented by AT&T with support from Huntington Bank and additional support from Key Bank. We are grateful for your generosity. Mayor Jackson appears today as part of the annual Richard and Sally Hollington Endowed Forum made possible by a special gift from Mr. and Mrs. Hollington to the City Club Forum Foundation. We welcome Dick and Sally Hollington and their son Dick and granddaughter Sarah, who are joining us today. Thank you for your continued engagement and support. Lastly, we welcome guests from dozens of local organizations and corporations. Please check your program for the list of those who are joined us today. We thank you for all of being here, and that brings us to the end of our forum. Thank you, Mayor Jackson. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The forum is now adjourned.